G'day, welcome. Now you're going to see a quick change of clothes because I filmed this intro a while ago and I can't remember what I said. It's raining. And I don't know. There was just too much to say, so I've sort of done it in two parts. First thing, Domenico Ferreira. So I'm assuming we call you Dom. It was wonderful in sending this full XA workshop manual to me for use with the car as it comes. The idea with this, of course, is I send it back when I'm finished with it. If it takes too long or if he needs it back in the meantime, I will photocopy relevant sections and send it back. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dom, for sending that. I've got some notes. The second thing is Harvey. Harvey's been a long time supporter of me, years and years, and he is the one who's done all my instrumentation, gauges, this sort of stuff. I actually omitted to put his name in these titles. I had an awful job with the titles. They're terrible, right? I'm the first one to say that. I'm not a video maker really by any stretch. I just film stuff and slap it together. I'm not very good at bits and pieces like titles and navigating programs and whatnot. But apparently I left his name out, which I'm really, really sorry for. He's been instrumental in a lot of the work I've done. So I'm really sorry, Harvey. And he shows up in the comments as Ellesmere Wildwood. So I don't think I'm not appreciative. I've got to rewrite the titles. I haven't got around to doing it yet. Jason Hill, 351 Cleveland, has had all the machine work done. Now that's the engine that has the 4MAB crank and 302 rods, and he's got a set of 30 up pistons for the high rod, for the longer rod, if you know what I mean. That's beneficial with things like the piston hanging around the top dead center a bit longer and you get more torque and all this sort of stuff. I think that's how it works. But what I meant to do when I took the block and the crank and the heads to Tony, the engine rebuilder, or the engine machinist, I actually forgot to tell him that Jason had bought new heads. He bought some Metalbrock alloys and all this sort of other fancy stuff, and consequently doesn't need the heads, and Tony's already well on the way to finishing them. He's machined them, he's crack tested them, he's cleaned them, he's redone the valves, I think. They need reassembly, and he's got ordered in springs for them and all this. And I said to him, so I've got a 351 build coming up, so I said to him, look, I'll pay for that and I'll keep them, and I've got another set of 302 heads I'll give to Jason so he can sell them off and do what he wants to do with them. The video footage for that isn't going to be on this channel. There'll probably be small bits and pieces of it, but the footage I do for it is going to be stuck on a USB and given to him so he can use them in his videos. And he'll do something similar when he does the interior. Having said that though, it's going to still be a little while off because I've had a huge amount of expense. My lifestyle's more expensive now since I'm single, but also with carports and all this sort of other stuff. The other thing I want to talk about is a hardtop, a Landau recently got sold for a very cheap price, and I wanted to talk about that as well, but I'll do it at the end of the video. So now I'm going to flip the original intro. G'day and welcome, and it's been, I'm going to say 4 or 5 weeks since I've uploaded a video, and it's been a time where, I always say this, it's been busy, but we've got a new principal at work, and she loves meetings, and everything's going well, which is great, but it just means I've got less time through the week, although daylight savings coming up, so there'll be more time to kind of do the things I enjoy doing, and therefore I can post. But I had a conversation with Graham, the XA Coupe guy. Neither of us had a great deal of content to put up. I certainly haven't had any, because most of what I've been doing is I got a carport kit delivered, but it's not going in yet. I've got to save up. Now I'm in debt a little bit more, a lot more. I've got to sort of save up to do things. So I paid Graham for the labour on the roof for the XA. I paid for the carport. That was only $5,000, and it's only, and the permit was $1,200. So it's like a lot of money, and you just see a few bits of steel. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't actually look like there's much there. But I've got the site clear because I originally sorted out 2 sheds when Susie left, and then I had to empty that shed again and disassemble it and pick up the sleepers off the ground and the pavers and the crushed rock and all this stuff, and I've put it up here temporarily, so at least I've got some storage room and cleaned off the back porch. And I've also got to dig out tree stumps to put a path in. And it goes on and on and on. But it's Father's Day today, and I got a little battery powered zap gun. And these, that's on slow, hang on. Medium and fast. This is a low power battery that I use for a cordless drill. It'll do for now. And I've needed one of these for such a long time. Particularly now since I've pulled the Sigma's little alternator apart and the slip rings are absolutely kahunted. Now I can get another rotor. This one will fit dimensionally, but it's different. And by the time I buy bearings, because they're shot, a rotor, a regulator, checks and resistances, it's going to be well over $100. I can buy a brand new one for $300. If I know it's going to be alright, I'll rebuild it. Otherwise, just get a new one for it. So they're the same as old Valiants and that sort of stuff I used to use. So car repair wise, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The rest of it's just work around the house. So I'm sorry I haven't had much in the way of content, but for whatever I've got now, I'll show you. So for what it's worth, I hope you enjoy. Bear in mind, there's a lot more content coming, particularly once I get the carport thing sorted out. That means the XA and the EJ's there, and the metalwork won't cost much to do because I'll just do it with the materials I've got, and buy a couple of bits and pieces here and there. But I'll certainly be out of a bit of the financial jam that I've been in recently. So I hope you enjoy. Right. Now, this radio, there are a few capacitors which I wasn't sure about the condition of them, and I was incorrect because there was nothing actually wrong with them. I've only replaced the bigger ones. Here. Where else? I did another one somewhere. I think I did 5. Oh no, I've only done 4. The problem is, when I took them out, what I thought was leakage was actually just this sort of adhesive stuff around them. But if you get your little tester, hang on, let's move that for a moment, and check them, they seem to be alright. I think there's one I didn't do though. I think it's the one with the long leads. The others are checking out fine. This is just one of these $10 testers, eBay testers. And so we've got, I can't read up to then, 455.8 microfarad. That's a 470, I think. 1.3, 2.5% loss, which isn't great. Where's a new 470? Let's see what this says. Here's a new one. You can plug this straight into that zip socket. The reason I've got these plugged in to there is because these leads are too short. I can't get them in. This is a brand newie, 466 and 0.7 loss. So it's obviously in better shape anyway. But as far as leaks were concerned, there was nothing to really be all that alarmed with. I've also made a lead, a power lead with banana plugs on it. I bought this from J-Car. It's 12 volt, 13.8 volt, 12 amp, or up to 12 amp. It's a switching power supply. I bought that really because it's more useful with car stuff, because I don't do much electronic stuff here. Right, so I looked at the back. This had a bit of corrosion, a bit of nonsense on it. I've gone around with my trusty J-Car spray and a toothbrush and around here, things like this, and it's actually never been messed with. There is a track that's lifted there, if you can see that. Still joined though, and one of the caps I did find a dry joint. I can't remember which one it was, but this has a seal on it. Is that the case? Yeah, that orange seal. I actually cut with a razor blade, so no one's actually ever opened this one up. So this is looking good. All I'm going to do with that is give it a bit of a clean up, and I'll put it back together. I'll paint the case. I'll redo that. Let me just get this other radio. I've got another one here that I picked up off eBay, and it's a Stalker. And it's a sideband. Now this one has been messed with. The screws were loose on the case, which was always a bit alarming. And there's been lots of bits of soldering and desoldering and stuff going on in this area here. I'm not sure what that is. What's around? There's a crystal around there. There's no caps or anything though. This has got a, which PLL is that? MB8719 PLL. So it's not an 858 or an 028, which I would have liked. I did, actually, there's a realistic TRC 449, I think it was, or 499, I can't remember what it was. Had an 858, it was a mint looking radio, and I wanted to get that. And guy in Pakenham, I think, had it. And he sold it from under me. Someone got there before I did. So this again, it's got some nice big caps on it. I'll just replace some of the bigger ones again, probably to no avail. It's probably pointless. It does worry me a bit though, because this big sucker, where is it? 4700 microfarad might not fit. No, yeah, it'll fit in there. 16 volt 4700. Just got to make sure you really suss it out before you go taking them out, and also make a note of which, because these are polarity sensitive and you'll blow them to the sky. So the negative is on the inside part of the radio. That also looks like it's got some stuff around the base, but that could be more of that waxy stuff that they put in at the factory. I don't like this business though. It's being messed with, and there's some really sus looking joints in there. Someone's really had to play with this, which is a shame. You can see all the factory stuff, and you can see where people have been messing around. Like there's a terrible joint there, which I see it. Oh, now I've lost track of where it was. Oh, there. Some of them are just awful the way they've been done. I reckon it's these two here. Those two. Where's my solder sucker? Hang on. You can see the solder gets ejected. Was it this one? Some braid. And this copper braid will just soak up any residual solder that's there. That should be it. There we go, and the negative is on the inside. Oh, that's not good. I don't want to damage that track. Hang on, there we go. What does this say? Oh, 4462 microfarad. 4462. How many is it? Oh yeah, 47. Sorry, I thought it was 1,000. Jeez, that could have been ugly. All right. So the negative trace, there it is there with the big gold thing on it. That looks rather spiffy. Haven't got good electrical side cutters. I've only got these things which are a little bit on the substandard side. Got another one to do. Sometimes it's better to reapply solder to a joint to sort of liquefy the old stuff, but this stuff's lifting up really, really easily. Oh. Right, well, I've got both the radios stripped at the front. I tried to with the what do you call it? Stalker one. There's a smudge where the LED displays, and I thought I could clean it off from behind. I should say. I think it's an adhesive or something. It's affected the plastic on the inside. If you look at the difference in these, that looks like the sort of used to buy hi-fi equipment in the late 80s that looked like that grey, dark plastic sort of colour. That's, I'm going to say this is like maybe 88, 89, this one. This, on the other hand, very late 70s to very early 80s. This is a much nicer radio. In fact, I've never heard of T-Berry. And, you know, there's Cobra, Hustler, Rush, Uniden, Realistic, Lafayette. There's all these brands. Never heard of T-Berry, but when you sort of look at it, is this radio? Yeah. Uniden. Now, I think in replacing some of these caps, someone's been here before. As we said before, it's messy. I've tidied up what I can, but I've also written notes on the side as to what was replaced and when. I've only done four, sorry, and I've marked them here. One thing I will do, this one I did notice, it's quite gluggy in the switch operation. That's why. Oops, hang on, I've got to get in the hole. I can't see. That's the story of my life. I can't bloody see. My eyesight's terrible. I think that's going to have a lot of drag on anyway, so I'll just put a bit of contact spray in them and work them a little bit. One guy I was watching, actually an English guy, very knowledgeable. He was he had a cordless drill on the channel selector on one that was drowned. It's probably easier if I do it this way. Just free them up a bit. It's old technology, but some of these, yeah, have been worked on, or the other one has. This one hasn't. This has never been apart, this one. But I just thought I'd get in there and free some of these up as best I can, and then I can sort of put them together. Go away, sheep. Go on, scat. Right, Sigma. I've got to take this alternator out. Last time I came up here, it died. So I'm going to dig it out. It's a Bosch single wire gig. So let's pull that out and have a bit of a look. See what we can find out about it. I think when I got the car, I checked the charge rate and it was weak from memory, like 13.6, around there. I'm sort of looking for 14.2. What do you think? 14.2 volts, 14.4? So it was a little bit weak. But, of course, it died completely last time I came up. They could use some more coolant in there. It's got water but not coolant. So I'm going to pop that out and I'll take it home and pop a new reg in it. Oh, well, there we go. Hopefully it's just a reg, but it does seem a little bit noisy in the bearings too. Yeah, it needs a full overhaul. That is okay. I reckon I can do that. Anyway, I'll take that home and fix it up. Sheep, go away. You're looking a bit sheepish, you two. Still got a fair bit to do. Long time no see, by the way. Got some of the pavers. The spar's gone. Got some of the pavers from the shed that I've got to move. The council guy had to come around and examine the site to ascertain that the spar had gone, to take it off the register, which is cool. He was actually lovely. He was a good guy. Washing machine, remember this guy? I restored it, kind of got it going and all that sort of stuff in a video yonks ago. It's looking a bit second hand, but I've taken the ringer off because it was easier to carry. I actually carried it across the lawn because the lawn is a mess. Right, so what's going to happen, sorry about the wind, is I've been clearing those shrubs and stuff against there. The carport's going to come right out to almost that back shed, and same width as the garage. It's all paid for, ready to go. I've got to, I better take those bits of steel. I've got this empty and taken screws out from the periphery. I mucked up when I did this actually because I put too much down, too much crushed rock and sand, and consequently there's a sort of a slope in it coming toward the front. So I've got to move all this stuff, if you know what I mean. I'm going to pop it over there behind the pond, which is going to look awful, absolutely awful. They built themselves a mansion over there, 47 square house. It uses the whole block, and there's a little, well, almost the whole block. There's an in-ground pool behind it, so it's huge. But that means when they build this place next door, that's 2 houses away, then that fence will all be replaced, and I'm going to redo it all. It just looks terrible. Right, so that stays. This is going. I've got to pick this up. Somehow I've screwed it in the corners to the sleepers, but there's screws going on it too to keep it rigid. So I've got to take those, release one, and then lift it up. It's only been here since March 2017. And I knew I did this wrong, but don't care. So what I'll do, I'll have to organise all car parts, XA, Falcon, and a little bit of XC. There's not much of that left. And EJ Holden, because I've got mountains and mountains of crap. And Plymouth seats and interior, it's all up there on the back porch, and it looks like slums. So a lot of work here. This was a really rubbish eBay $300 shed. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to straighten it out once I build that frame over there. Stick it on. It's got poo all over it because the kids haven't cleaned up. And there's a big mound of crushed rock and everything. It was just made of offcuts of rubbish. That's all this thing was sitting on. I never intended it to be a permanent solution, and it's still not. It wasn't even staked in. I mean, there was no concrete. They were just sort of stabbed in the ground. So yeah, this is pretty trashed, but I don't think it matters. All it's got to do is keep things dry. And once I've sort of treated up, got some crap in the guttering, but the screws were all sort of, I had it secured from the inside. Half of them were just rotted. So, oh, here we go. Look at that nice big wow. It's knackered, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's all good. Now, this was eBay, so the sheets are like that wide from there to there. They're a foot wide, and it's all separate sections, about a foot wide to make the packaging smaller, and they're obviously cheaper to buy. That thing is a much better shed. That was originally Hardware House, which Bunnings sold them off. They were something like $800 back 20 years ago. This is crap. This is rubbish. But anyway, it's only a temporary thing. Got to sort through some of these. A lot of it's mine actually. A bit of Susie's stuff. I go up every school holidays to her place for a night. Not that sort of night, but and take bits and pieces. There's only a little bit left, so some of this can get chucked out. There's the papers. You guys want to know where I've been? It's doing this crap. I had to move this shed because of a carport. Oddly enough, actually, I'll show you around here. Yeah, we had this gazebo thing, and it kept tearing in the wind, and it was useless. It was huge, and I put the cover underneath the stones, the crushed rock, and it's preserved everything so well. This has been really easy. It's only been out 5 years, but that's all I've used because I've had to make sure the shed's level. I'll keep this because of a pathway with a gate. I want to put in where those doors are down there. So the place is a mess as usual. But yeah, I mean, it's just like brand new crushed rock. Look at it. Oh, there's a fish. The last lot of fish we had in there were 14 years old before they died. 15, I think one got to. Yeah, so I've got this. This is just sitting on the ground, so it'll probably blow away, but it'll do for now. I can't be bothered. I just need to get this thing over here and all that junk on in here so I can make the place look a bit tidier. Don't listen to me with anything I do. Look at this. This is terrible. My brother and I couldn't move it. I kind of built it up here, then moved it down there. Moving it back's a bit harder. We couldn't move it, so I've got it sitting on dollies. There's poo on the ground from the dogs, which is nasty, so I've moved it from here over to there, kicking these in by lifting it at the roof. Oh, damn. Oh, you get the picture. I've got to straighten that out. And just moving those up. This is pretty awful. There's the base. Very temporary, very crooked. Look down there. I might actually take those out. And this stuff, like it cuts like hot knife through butter with that diamond disc there on the angle grinder. Claire, how you going, Claire? Hmm? You good? Oh, you nice little doggy. So I'm going to keep going, and I need to get it done today because I want to clean all this mess up. I'm tired of this mess. Mow the lawns, pick up the crap, all that sort of stuff. So I'll be back in a moment. There it is. I left it away from the fence a little bit because there's trees and that sort of stuff, and also cutting it a bit fine with that there, but I knew it would be a couple of inches, so I've sort of kept it away from the edge. But there it is, uphill, downhill inside, but I don't think it matters. It'll hold everything I need it to, and it's only a temporary thing, and it hasn't cost anything to move. Right, I am the biggest closet greenie, and with my attitude to recycling, this sort of stuff. I mean, I think there's 5 V8 cars here, so it's not that green. But whatever the case, it is worth considering though. My Commodore uses less fuel on the country run than a 6-cylinder Falcon. It's actually 9.5 per 100. And even the Corolla, when you're doing over 3,000 revs, it starts to drink, particularly with the trailer. The Commodore is actually not bad on fuel because it doesn't work. It doesn't have to work as hard. And I was having a conversation with Kevin Gibbons last night about that. He's got a 6-cylinder Commodore, I've got a V8 one, and we were talking about back when the fuel crisis was on, how much fuel Sigma's used, particularly automatic ones, and also things like 4-cylinder Commodores where they were using the same fuel as a 202, and the 202s were almost using what a 253 did, in some cases worse. This set of slip rings, that one is worn, that one is terrible, and as you turn it, we're getting black spots. That's been getting very hot. Correspondingly, whoops, sorry about that. You can see here, that one's been contacting well, this one's it's starting to burn out. I would imagine the problem is going to be somewhere in the rotor or in the reg. As a matter of purpose, you would replace that, even though I've seen them a lot worse in condition than that. That actually isn't that bad. But it does beg the question, should we even be trying to fix this? Let's try this new zap gun. That might be too fast. I'm going to turn it down to medium and maybe we'll turn up to full. God, this is so handy. Graham said to me, you won't understand how you didn't have one beforehand, or how you did without one before. Right, so we take that out. These ones, of course, have been plated by, and people always ask me, who are they again? Warner's Metro in Power Road in Bayswater. There is kind of spaces all over the joint with this. And when you buy new ones, they don't have spaces. Hang on a minute. There's not even provision for a keyway there. So I'm just going to pile that on so I can remember how it goes. And we're good. The other thing is, I just want to know the bearings in here, but I'm not sure if I can actually just thump that. Hang on a minute. I'm using a nylon hammer, but it's always good practice to stick this guy on. Whoa. Right, so in the top here there should be a number. Let's see if we can find it. Because the other one has. The other one's got a number. You can see how similar they are. Same everything, although that one's a little bit deeper. And also the slip ring's bigger, but I can't see any numbers on that. Hang on a minute. Whoops. Where? Oh, yes I can. I'll go and get some scotchy and see if I can see it a bit better. I cannot see numbers anywhere in it. Not on the... Oh, hang on, yes I can. It just says 052. But nothing else. I wonder if it's under that. Does this lift off? Oh, hang on, this one comes off too. It's got one there. They're normally stamped. You can see them normally a lot better. I'm not going to heat this thing up. Not that it matters because the thing's plugged anyway, but there might be something underneath there. All I can see is 052, which is less than useful, and there's nothing on the back side. That bearing's had it. So I don't know if this is worth rebuilding. For the sake of $300, it might just be better to buy a new one. Which is disappointing because I like fixing old stuff like this. I've been digging this out. There's quite a big stump there. I've just started with that one. Taken another couple out, sorry. And I've got to get some of this dirt out, stick some crushed rock from behind the shed in there. And I'll propagate actually at this end because I don't want the dogs doing poo up there and all that sort of stuff. And get rid of that. On the other side of that is... it's all mud. That's that stump from an old, we call it palm tree. Heck of a thing, you can't even burn that stuff, it's awful. So I've got to dig that out, get rid of that bed. Those sleepers there will go to Susie's for a fireplace, and I'll take all this dirt out of here, pave that, and that makes access for motorbikes and that sort of thing quite easy. But the problem is, I don't think the guy with his machine can get in, because the shed guy rang up and he wants to come on Monday, but then I haven't heard from him. This looks terrible. Excuse my backyard. So just there's a couple of little things from plants there. I'll get those out. I might have to pull that jacaranda out too on the corner because I think he's going to dig around here. There's 15 sheets of the original Colorbond colour the shed was, and we've got a vacant block next door. So I'm going to have to, and that fence is knackered, I've got to get a new fence. And so I'm going to cut a gate there, because I spoke to these people and they reckon it's alright, and he can get his digger in through here. But I cut this fence and I'm a moron because I cut it too narrow. You see it's just sitting there. So I have to cut a little bit wider, and I'll just put a cleat there or something. And just take this out for tomorrow morning. He's coming tomorrow morning. I don't know what this is. We don't know what it is. This is off a tombstone or something. Anyway, So we've cut a hole. I made it bigger because I was an idiot and measured it, and anyway I did it wrong. So now we've got access down there, and they can come and build a shed. Well, a carport. Anyhow. Right, sorry, this goes on and on. I've dug out this jacaranda. I love jacarandas. I'm going to keep it. Try and replant. I've got to fill that in and chop up these from that part over there, because this garage extension goes back quite a way. It goes back 5 meters. I'm just sort of looking. I'm going to go kind of here and straight up, so I can get rid of all this crap later. I've got to chop these up. It's really woody stuff. I don't know what that is. It's some sort of native. I'll just chop it up into kindling for Suze. I'm a bit worried about that though, because that's going to be where the post goes, so I might get slagged for extra concrete because it's all going to be sort of loose dirt, if you know what I mean, or fill. So I'll fill it in with some of the crap down the side, because I've got a bunch of soil down where I pulled the other stumps from, down there. I need to take some of that out because that's what's causing the garage to flood in really heavy rain, and I'll put a strip drain against the edge of the garage and I'll pave it and throw that crushed rock down there. Might as well keep it, and it should all be good. Okay, we've got a problem here. This is colour bond. It's like, I think it's electrically charged paint on sheet metal that's pressed out. Brilliant stuff. So it's very, very good stuff. Now this garage has been here since before we moved in. We've been here since 2003. Lots and lots of worms. Soil must be pretty good. Hey mister, how you going? I found heaps and I keep throwing them over here. And some of them are like, how long are you? Some of them are pretty big, aren't you? If I was a fisherman, I'd be wrapped. Look, there's another one under there. Anyway, the problem is, it's rusted, which is going to happen. And that's the reason it's coming in the garage, because the garage floor is low. There's bits and pieces here. That'll be a string line, that piece of wood. Doesn't matter. I think ultimately what I'd be inclined to do is actually cut off. And we've got some gal sheet at work that doesn't get used. It's from the old tech metal days, so I might buy a couple of sheets of that or a sheet of that and just stick it sort of from behind going down and just seal it. Because ultimately it never leaked in this area. It was always leaking. It used to come in around here. So I've dug that little trench for a strip drain. I haven't got the strip drain yet, so I'm just kind of guessing. And it's all good, doesn't matter. But at least the stumps have all gone. That's where I dug a stump out from there, a tree. Well, makes light work, doesn't it? Yeah. That's where that jacaranda was, right there. How many of these do you do a week? Yeah.
I mean, if there's two guys, I mean, one of the guys obviously, but he's not available.
Yeah.
But you know, two guys talk about 2.5 days for this.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're being really good to deal with. I can't believe how accurate he is with that thing.
What's that?
I can't believe how accurate he is.
Yeah, he's a machine, he's a good operator.
Yeah, probably would do that.
Not advisable. He's old school, mate.
Yeah, that's alright. Do you want a crowbar?
What we know he's forgotten.
Oh, dug the holes. There's the kid there. I bought him bit by bit. I'm going to be redoing a lot of this backyard. These do it anyway. Decent holes. So council's got to come and inspect the foundations to make sure it's all good. Look how smooth those holes are, they're great. So I didn't get this finished. When it's popped the fence out, so I've got to go and next door and fix that. That's all good though. Great guys. Cleaning this up's going to be fun. This backyard is knackered. It needed revamping anyway. It's also buggered that fence over there. I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to fix that. That shouldn't be too hard though. It's all good, at least I'm getting it done. That's a bloody mud bar right there. Check it out. Might get a stump grabber to take that out too. There's another one behind here. Well, this didn't get finished. The reason is, see this, some idiot ordered the wrong kit. Don't know who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was me. So, let's have a look. The pitch is completely wrong. And so what that means is that those brackets that hold those two halves together need to be replaced with the correct ones. You can see here, these are 15 degrees, and that was a guess I took. But the roof is 12.5, apparently. So, guys had to go on holiday. He wanted to get it done this week, but he couldn't. And that means when he comes back, he's got to finish it, and we'll get the right ones. And he's going to flash between the roof of the garage and the carport. The reason the foundations are so big is because of lift under the carport, but eventually that will be covered in. So it'll be perfect for metalwork and this sort of stuff. But I can't start cleaning the backyard up until this is all finished. So anyway, look, hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. So at the beginning of the video, I wanted to talk a little bit about this ad, or this, it was a post that Graham put on his Facebook page. Did I say Facebook? Facebook page. Landau went for 14 grand, 15 grand. I haven't got the ad with me now, I can't see it, but I remember seeing it and took a screenshot. So this is actually quite significant because this bubble bursting stuff at the values of cars, particularly old ones like the old Australian ones, has been on my mind for a while. The COVID tax, as they call it, has might have finally come to an end. I think people are coming accustomed, and also the fact is interest rates have gone up for mortgage interest rates, and house values have come down in these sorts of areas, and people have less disposable income. The first thing that's going to be impacted in those cases are your project cars and your hobbies. So you'd sell off bits and pieces. Now, selling project cars has always been a bit taboo because you lose so much money. The XC, I think I was up to 15 grand before it even looked like a car. It's just bits and pieces, the engine and all this sort of stuff. And certainly with this Landau, it's going to be the same sort of thing. You drop money on it, you're never going to get it back, particularly if the value of completed cars comes down, or at least survivor cars, and they're always going to be worth more than restored ones, even though they're cheaper to buy in a lot of cases. So I think even if these cars become cheap, whether they be sedans or hardtops, and hardtops are always going to be worth more because they're rarer, even if they become cheap, I think the price of parts are still going to stay up there for a little while, particularly there's still stupid prices being advertised for cars, or for parts I should say. So I couldn't afford to do the XC now if I did it. The XA, I've had help. Kevin has found a bonnet and a boot lid, and he found some doors, and Graham found a roof and helped me put it on. I've paid for that, by the way, which is awesome. Thanks, mate. So all these things have come together to make it into a good shell, but there's still interior stuff. So I've got Jason Hill helping me with that, so I do his engine, you know what I mean? So I've actually lucked out in that way, even though there's a lot to do here before it finally comes. But it's going to be interesting with parts. There's always going to be a demand for old cars because EV supporting people like to retrofit them. There's an MGB going around with an electric motor in it, which I think is sacrilege because I love the noise they make. And it's the same with these things. I think even at $10 a litre, I'd still pay it just to drive the things around on the weekend. It is what it is. So, you know, I think they're all going to come down to a realistic level, but I think there's going to still be part scalpers that are going to ask stupid money for bits and pieces, and they'll be the smaller trinket bits, the trims and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's something to keep an eye on. I feel genuinely bad for guys that have spent 50, 60 grand on a really run-down hardtop, and then seeing that would really, that would hurt. You know, that'd be terrible. And probably more so, there was a Phase 3HO replica that sold for $243,000. That is nuts. The car was beautiful. Beautiful looking car. But it's still, I don't know if it was originally a 6 or whatever. It might have had a sunroof in, I'm not sure. But to pay $250,000 for a fake is nuts. Nuts. I don't get that. And I would have a big problem with that. If you're, I don't care about engine numbers and matching numbers and all this stuff. I've got a few cars that are matching numbers, but at the end of the day, Charlie's here. At the end of the day, it never bothers me. But if you're going to drop $250,000 on a vehicle that's got the wrong engine and it was the wrong car to begin with, that is a problem. So anyway, look, food for thought. Thanks very much for watching this. Oh, dogs are barking. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. What do you reckon? Shit. Jesus. Move. Move, cat. Move. Move. Come on. I think it.